Get the end out there. Oh yeah. Woo! Oh, I got gapped.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have another awesome video planned with a four-wheeler and a three-wheeler. You guys have seen this on the channel before. My 1996 Yamaha Warrior 350. And then Cameron's ATC 200X, which we've been doing a ton of work on. It's back out here, and today we're going to be comparing, just in general, not the machine specifics, but what is it like to ride a four-wheeler versus a three-wheeler. You guys might be wondering, like, oh, you see three-wheelers for like $1,000 and they're working on Marketplace, versus like quads are typically like closer to 2,000, at least in our area, in the Pacific Northwest. And you might be thinking, oh, I'll get a three-wheeler or whatever, but it's a whole different riding style and activity, so you should really think about it. So we're going to tell you guys what you guys should consider when you're looking at either of these machines, a three-wheeler versus a four-wheeler, not the specifics. And we're going to show both of them riding, and Cameron's going to give his thoughts on this, and I'm going to give my thoughts on this.
Alright guys, right here on my uncle's property again. It's time for me to show what it's like to ride a three-wheeler. This is my 1986 Honda ATC 200X. This is the first time you guys have probably ever seen it riding, like one of like 3 times you guys have probably ever seen it riding. It's very fun, very dangerous, and we'll have a lot of fun. Alright, so coming up here we have some trenches on, or some ditches on each side, so we gotta be careful because we do have one wheel in the middle. So if we're not careful, we could definitely roll. So come down to the utility house and then whip around the middle a little bit, go back up to the middle, and we'll have some fun. Okay, so as you can see, I was kind of leaning back, trying to get my center of gravity as back as far as I could, so I could make those tight turns. I had a good amount of speed, have a little bit of fun. So here we're playing pretty much mobbing. Make this tight turn right here. I got gapped. We're gonna go back down to the middle and kind of finish up and give you guys our final thoughts, and then we'll wrap it all up. That jingling is my exhaust manifold, like the shield on it. The shield is loose, but the bolts are rusty, so I can't tighten it. Just gonna go out here and stop real quick, and that'll be that. Okay guys, we're going to hop on the four-wheeler, the Warrior, give you impressions of what it's like to ride the four-wheeler here after we showed you guys the three-wheeler bit, Cameron ripping on that. So we're going to go up and I'm going to get behind him. Oh, it's in neutral. I'm going to follow him up this trail, so I'm going to go really slow right now. Crawling over. Okay, so first impressions on the four-wheeler. Much improved stability, obviously. For this part, I can basically goose it wherever I want, and I don't have to roll over, or worry about rolling over. Get the end out there. Oh yeah! Woo! Sorry for screaming. Man, this is a lot of fun. Whoa, man. And that stability obviously helps you drift. People can rip on those three-wheelers if you're a really good rider, but it takes so much more rider skill is the big difference. You need so much more stability. I'm going to go up ahead apparently here. And the three-wheeler, you've just got to position your body a lot more. For the quad, it's important, but it's so much more beginner-friendly, and you don't have to worry about the width of your front end being different from the back end. And also here, on the grass here, the three-wheeler doesn't have any front fenders, so your legs get all whacked by the high grass if you're riding through high grass for some reason. So that's one kind of weird minor difference, but right here on this is like undulating terrain right here. You gotta really watch yourself on the three-wheeler when you transition from like one side of the terrain to the other, because you're doing so much more body work as far as like controlling that front end, and also under braking, the three-wheeler wants to like flip over itself if you really go downhill and then you're hitting the brakes. You risk that front flip over. It's much different. And what I was talking about the width is that front end on the three-wheeler is skinnier than the rear end. So when you go down the path where the front end may work, the rear end, because you have basically a quad rear end and then a dirt bike kind of fat cat front end, you have to worry about the rear end still. So it's a whole lot different than riding the three-wheeler, and I would say it's a whole lot more beginner friendly, but for an experienced rider, I think it's totally worth trying out a three-wheeler because it's just so much more of a challenge. And if you get bored on quads, you can see Cameron's kind of lifting up that rear wheel, and it's just a lot harder to stay stable and put the power down, I would say. But so I'd say beginner friendly is a huge pro. Stability, also just in general, three-wheelers, there aren't really as many three-wheelers that are like super fast. You can get a ton of super fast quads, whereas like the three-wheelers are more rare, the really fast ones. So yeah, it's a lot more beginner friendly. So yeah, that's my four-wheeler impressions.
Alright guys, so my final thoughts on the three-wheeler are that it's very fun. You can actually get these for pretty cheap. And here up in the Northwest, we have a big racing community, so you can get there's a lot of options. They are very fun to ride, but they are very, very dangerous. So I definitely recommend like a little bit more experienced riders only, especially for a sport model like this, because this is the 200X from 1986. It has front and rear suspension. It's very, very easy to tip over. You got to be very, very careful when you're riding. Try to keep yourself back. But
would you say that like motorcycle experience helps?
Motorcycle experience helps for the balancing in the front, because for something like this, if you're on like a off-camber hill and you're trying to turn up into it, it's not really going to be that bad because you have like the outside tire to lean into. But on a motorcycle, if you did that, you just tip over, and it's kind of the same idea on this. So while this does have the stability of the rear tires, that makes the front single tire just that more dangerous. So you just got to be very careful, learn how to lean, really push into the pegs, you know.
Other than that, you should be okay. If you're gonna buy one, I would definitely buy like maybe a big red or something to start with. Try to get used to the three-wheeler before you go to something like this or even a 250. So we'll move on to what Jacob thinks of the four-wheelers.
Okay, so my final thoughts on riding a four-wheeler. The big thing, the difference between the three-wheelers is obviously the stability. You have the whole front end stability, and like Cameron said, you can really lean on that front end. And I would say so much easier for beginner riders, but they are in more popular demand. These Warriors you can find pretty easy if you want a four-stroke, but in general, quads are going to be more expensive because they are more often going to have titles than the three-wheelers. So I would really say if you're a beginner rider, or if you're just looking to have some more relaxed fun, or really going on technical trails with a lot of like off-camber stuff and big rocks, I would say stick with the four-wheeler. You can whip that thing around corners if you're good enough, but this is a whole lot easier if you also like that fun. And in general, I think that the four-wheeler is a much easier entry-level thing. But man, it's a totally different experience to ride that. And I would say experienced riders could get bored with four-wheeler, even really fast ones, unless you're ripping like motocross and hitting jumps and stuff. But I think just four-wheelers are really great fun for the whole family, because you can get ones without clutches and stuff, and little ones.
Would you recommend like a non-clutch quad for like a kid to start out on?
I would say totally get like yourself a little whatever TRX 50 or whatever, like if you're a little kid. And they also, I know Honda makes the like TRX, you can get the newer TRX 250Xs with like no clutches or whatever, with the longitudinal engine and the drive shaft. Those are a bit easier. Those are kind of girls' bikes, people say that, but I'm sure they're plenty of fun. 250 is still pretty fast, and they're a bit lighter than this old Warrior and a lot newer tech. So I would say that going for like a beginner entry level, like no clutch thing, if you're a kid or if you're really scared of riding an off-road vehicle and you've never done that before, go for it. But this is the very first quad I learned on. Warriors are great, I think, because it's a lot of torque. You don't have to worry about like, oh, I gotta stall it all the time or whatever. But so thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys kind of deduce, maybe if you're thinking, oh, buy a cheaper three-wheeler because it'll be a lot of fun, when you realize like, oh, it's a lot scarier. But if you're an experienced rider, go for that. And so thank you for checking out the video. Please like and subscribe, and we're gonna have check out the review on this thing. It's gonna be out before this video. So yeah, please stay tuned for the next one too.